it on?
Red button down.
There we go. Good morning. Now? Beautiful. The red button trick. Okay. Good morning. As Cindy said, thank you very much. I'm Bill Hinesley. Good morning, Chairman Finnerini and the council members. I'm going to take a few minutes and go through the PowerPoint that we have here. I'm Bill Hinesley, and you see my name on the box as principal in charge. With me again, I do have Leslie Moulton from ESA, who will lead our CEQA compliance, and Brian Boxer, who will lead our public outreach efforts. And we're giving Larry a break today after speaking yesterday, so he is here should I need him for any assistance. He's in our project manager box. The ARCADIS team approach is one of focusing on assisting with decision support science. The question ahead of us is not only an engineering problem, but it's a matter of making decisions. So our first focus is working with RAND to build a tool, a world-class tool for prioritizing these investments. We've included independent analysis and review of existing data sets. We understand that there's robust data sets that are available, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And then, as Cindy mentioned, transparency, inclusiveness, and informing all stakeholders is a key component of this process. So solid public and stakeholder engagement is of paramount importance, as is the focus CEQA compliance. And then I will talk a little bit about our quality assurance program that entails both internal quality assurance from ARCADIS and a team of independent world-class experts. Really, the focus then is to assist in building resilient levees in an evolving delta. The reason is if there's no levees, there's no delta in this deltaic system.
I'm sorry, there's no delta as presently configured.
As presently configured,
there
yes,
would
sir.
be some kind of a delta. It is one that some people prefer not to see, but you can't escape the fact that we've got scientific information that sea level rise is likely to severely impact the configuration of the delta unless the state's prepared to do massive expenditures of money.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. And that's where I go to. Resilient levees are required for the co-equal goals, focusing on both environmental protection and the water supply reliability. The notion, both through the Delta Reform Act and as stated in the Delta Plan, is all who benefit should contribute. And really, ultimately, you need priorities to guide how the state invests its money in these Delta levees. So the question is, how should we prioritize? Well, I'll start with saying that there's numerous challenges to prioritizing investment in Delta levees. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of costly options that have been deliberated, discussed, and in some regards implemented over the years. There's diverse and conflicting goals and objectives amongst different beneficiaries or stakeholders, and there is significant uncertainty about the future. In all, there's a large amount of detailed and technical information involved in this discussion, but it comes down to the point of making decisions. It's difficult to prioritize investments with the systems model alone. We've talked a lot about different modeling tools that are there to help understand outcomes of different actions taken within the Delta. If we look at the systems models, they yield the outcomes, but they don't really talk about trade-offs among multiple goals or what combination of investments best balance our goals within a budget and other constraints that are in the real world. Thus, we've proposed, and the cornerstone to our approach is a planning tool that incorporates and takes in constraints, priorities of different stakeholders into the planning tool, which we propose to be developed with the staff and with stakeholders to support a deliberation with analysis. And I'll talk a little bit about that. I'll give a real-world example. In coastal Louisiana, the reality is that they could lose up to 1,800 square miles of land by 2060. Numerous plans have looked at addressing this land loss problem. And coastal storms exacerbate flood risk and ecosystem degradation. From a flood control perspective, the state there expects increased flood damages in the order of magnitude between $5 billion and $19 billion per year. Likewise, the land loss problems are creating the situation where numerous ecosystem services are at risk. Proposed projects and alternatives have been around for more than 40 years with different sets of plans that have looked at implementing them. These plans include different types of projects over different geography, such as diversions, creation of marsh, and other restoration features, as well as structural and non-structural risk reduction items like levees, evacuation plans, etc. For the state, RAND and ARCADIS assisted in the development of a planning tool to help balance their co-equal goals there of risk reduction to the threat from storms and ecosystem degradation, which they've used as a proxy here called land building. Our tool helped balance these co-equal goals in their master plan, and the plan developed was used in support of development of a plan, the 2012 master plan, that was unanimously passed by their legislature in 2012, and implementation is underway. It's important to note as well the planning tool is being continued to use and supplement additional changes and modifications and updates to the plan. So it wasn't a single-time use of the tool. So the planning tool would use the best available information to prioritize investments for the Delta. We're not proposing new data, but we do understand that there's wide data sets available, such as DREAMS and other resources that include capturing the results of all the work that have been done subsequent to DREAMS publication. In addition, we'll take what we know about constraints, preferences from interactions with stakeholders to develop that tool along with you. Part of gathering and developing the tool, or rather gathering and developing the data to put tools to work, includes asset information and exposure information of risk within the Delta, reviewing and synthesizing existing data, as I said, such as DREAMS and other data sources, look at the likelihood and the consequences of the risk in the Delta, and calculating expected annual damages. The critical part of the project will be working with stakeholders to develop and evaluate appropriate levels of protection and tolerable levels of risk within the Delta. For example, different areas may warrant higher level of protection than others. This could be based upon life safety damages and Delta values, recent experience that we bring from within the U.S. and elsewhere, consistency with other state policies, and stakeholder engagement. Our work with stakeholders in this tool will enable us to educate different, or rather to evaluate different levels of protection in support of prioritization. Stakeholder and public engagement will be used, or will be developed using stakeholders' input, and we'll use a collection of knowledge, both from the agencies and stakeholders and the public, that will be brought together to build understanding of the tool and the processes, and as Cindy mentioned, credibility for the effort. We've developed an iterative engagement, and it will be begun by gathering data and information. We'll be seeking preferences and values. As the tool is developed, share results of running that tool that will yield refinement in the tool and ultimately the outcomes. We envision engagement at multiple levels. First, project meetings with council staff, DWR, DPC staff, work group with agencies and technical experts, and workshops with beneficiaries, community members, and interest groups, and then briefings of one-on-one with elected officials and technical experts. We'll build on existing information again to deliver a focused environmental assessment The strategy is that we're not starting from scratch. We'll build upon existing documents, which you can see here in the orange, to ultimately build the appropriate environmental assessment report for the levee investment prioritization. Our team includes a group of international experts to assure the quality of the work being done. We have Dr. Jerry Galloway, who's a worldwide flood expert, Dr. Greg Becker, who was a key advisor to DREAMS, and Dr. Ed Link, who served as the project manager for the Corps of Engineers risk assessment following Hurricane Katrina. So in summary, the approach that the ARCADIS team brings is that of building a tool for the prioritization of investments, working with experts for technical analysis and review existing data sets, built upon a foundation of solid stakeholder and public participation and engagement, netting in a focused CEQA compliance document, while all along ensuring project management and a quality management process. I'll speak briefly to the schedule. We envision an 18-month schedule to focus on the prioritization effort, which would include the data gathering, defining risk and the costs, the assessment, ranking investments, and allocating cost portion, and then about an additional 6 months for the environmental compliance efforts.
Question.
With that,
In your time